Hey everyone, Osiris Frost again, this time with a tour of the newly flyable Aegis Reclaimer. We start out in the elevator, which opens into the bridge deck of the ship. This level is where most of the ship operations take place. To our left is the salvage processing room, and to the right is a suite of 4 terminals, 2 for scanning and 2 for operating turrets remotely. Over here is the elevator up to the main deck, which we'll explore in a moment. But first, let's head past these escape pods and in this door. In this room are a pair of tractor beam operator positions. This will be an important role on the Reclaimer, which is not a very maneuverable vessel. Beam operators will bring nearby salvage into position for the claw operator to grab it. Speaking of the claw operator, stepping through this door brings us into the bridge itself, where we can find the claw operator's seat alongside the pilot's. As we head back toward the lift to the main deck, I'd just like to point out the ambiance aboard this ship. The sound effects, lighting, and details in here all perfectly harken back to the Nostromo, and it's not hard to imagine that we aren't alone here on this vessel. Stepping off the lift onto the main deck, we find ourselves across from the drone operator room. Let's head inside and check it out. Here are a pair of drone operator terminals, with a view into the drone room beyond. It's easy to imagine that this ship will follow in the style of the Aegis Vulcan, which was recently announced as giving its drone operators first-person perspective when operating its drones. Working from these terminals, you'll be flying your drones into debris fields and even inside of derelict vessels, looking for worthwhile salvage. Speaking of drones, they seem like they'll be stored on this rack here, and then drawn out as needed and launched through the door in the roof. Back out in the hallway, we find a ladder labeled turret access. Let's check this out. Currently, this area is inaccessible, but if I had to guess, I'd say that these circular doors probably open up to the turret seat for the size 5 top-mounted turret. For now, there's not much to do here, so let's head back down the ladder. Just around the corner from the turret access ladder is the gravity generator room. You can imagine all sorts of interesting gameplay around maintaining and repairing the gravity generator. This ladder chute over here leads back down to the quad terminal room on the bridge level, which we've already seen, so let's move on. Down the hallway, beyond the drone operator room, is the living quarters of the ship. Here, you'll find more escape pods, the crew mess, and living quarters. The escape pod room is fairly self-explanatory, and there's no additional functionality inside. So hopefully, you'll never have to set foot in here. I'm going to bypass the living area for a moment to briefly check out this computer room tucked away in the corner. At present, nothing in here is interactable, but if you read these monitors, you'll come away with an idea about the room's intended purpose. Now, let's backtrack to the living quarters. On up the stairs and through this door, we find ourselves in the crew mess. Off to the right is docking collar access, but first, let's check out the dining area. Oh good, they remembered the coffee. James Holden will be happy. Here's the table with plenty of seating for everyone, and a monitor to keep tabs on what's happening so that you can work even during break time. Over here is another door to the docking collar, so now let's take a peek inside. It looks like that when you successfully dock at a station or with another vessel, this overhead hatch will open and a ladder will descend into this room. Currently, docking tech isn't in the game yet, as they have some more work to do on physics grids first, so for now, let's head toward the rear of the ship. Down this corridor are the captain's quarters and crew quarters, airlocks, an engineering section, and the rear elevator. Beginning with the crew quarters here on the right, we find 4 bunks, some lockers, and over here, a lavatory. Kind of creepy that I cast no reflection, but then again, this whole ship is a little creepy. Behind us are 4 stalls, 2 with showers and 2 with toilets. Let's head across the hall to the captain's quarters. This is an interesting room. It feels a bit underutilized to me. I mean, who are all these lockers and benches supposed to be for? I almost think that they could have condensed it toward the rear of the ship a little, kept all the points of interest, and come away with a slightly larger mess hall. But it is what it is, and over here we find a private kitchenette next to a fairly spacious office. I'd like to eventually see them add customization to the point where you can decorate this with personal effects, and it looks like that's what they have in mind. Rounding out the captain's quarters is a private bath and bunk. Moving on to the rear of the vessel, here we find a pair of airlocks, ladders down to engineering, and an elevator. Let's leave that elevator for last and climb down into engineering. As you arrive at the bottom of the ladder, take note of this secluded alcove back here. Every time I look, I expect to find a horrific alien waiting to eat me. Back this way is engineering, with component access panels left and right, and a control panel down here next to what I can only imagine is the jump drive of the ship. You can interact with the engineering station, but at present there's nothing to do here yet, so let's head back up. And in case you thought that this tour was almost at an end, there are 6 options on this terminal. We're currently on the habitation deck, so let's ascend to the salvage balcony. As advertised, this entire room is essentially a catwalk around the salvage room below. There isn't much to do here yet other than run laps and look at your salvage collection, so let's skip the other salvage related options for now. I'll do a follow-up video on salvage in action when those systems are added in 3.2. For now, let's head to the cargo hold. In here is a more modest storage facility for non-specifically salvage-related transportation. It doesn't appear to have direct ship exterior access, but the elevator shaft is conveniently located from the rear airlocks, so manual loading and unloading of this area shouldn't be too much of a chore. And that about does it for the tour of the Aegis Reclaimer. Like I said, I'll follow up with a video on salvage once they finish implementing that system into Star Citizen. That's currently scheduled for the end of June 2018, so look for that video around then. Other than that, let me know what you think about the Reclaimer in the comments. That's all for today's show. Thanks for watching. If you're new to Star Citizen, or you know someone who's thinking of playing, you or they can earn 5,000 UEC on your account by registering with my referral code, which you can find in the show notes down below. If you have any questions, feedback, or episode suggestions, go ahead and leave them in the comments. And if you haven't already, please be sure to like and subscribe. I'd really appreciate that. Thanks, and I'll see you next time.